Very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning, sir.
You know, it takes two hands to clap. So if I greet and you don't respond, it is a testimony of some hostility. I've been introduced, so I will not repeat. But for purposes of record, I'm the Director, Defense Public Information. Some of us are still stuck to the spokesman title. And with me to carry you through all this is Honorable Major General Henry Masco, our Joint Staff Political Commissariat. We also have the Executive Director of National, they call it NIDA, National Identification Registration Authority. I just want to make sure. Then my OB from the Immigration, WSJ, we were together at university and we always meet and share notes. And then Mr. Katongana, the Public Relations Officer of the National Enterprise Corporation. We intend to hold the first Kampala Defense and Security Expo in memory of a gallant Ugandan that no one would ever wish to forget because of his contributions to the country, the late Honorable General Aronda Nyakairima. And the agencies you see here had a touch or had the touch of the late General. So it's now my pleasure to invite Honorable General, Major General Henry Masco, to give you the highlights of the concept. After his presentation, each of the agencies you see here will come to give you reasons why they are on board for this expo, after which we shall have interaction with you, the members of the press. I want to be very clear that we are grateful that you actually took time and heeded our invitation for this press conference. Honorable Masco, sir.
And our friends, the Fourth Estate, members of the media, good morning. Once again, I am Major General Henry Masco, Joint Staff Political Commissar, and being staff, we all present, we work on behalf of the leadership of the UPDF, from the Commander-in-Chief, but specifically the Chief of Defense Forces. So whatever we are presenting here, we are amplifying the message of the Chief of the Defense Forces. Friends from the media, as you have been told, the late Honorable General Aronda Nyakairima, who passed on 9 years ago, died as a serving minister, and particularly in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. That's why that sector is represented here. But particularly, he had a long a long impact on the growth of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, not only as a modern commander, but also as a freedom fighter. The general will be remembered for his invaluable achievements and contribution to Uganda's security, political and socio-economic landscape, and his Pan-Africanist approach to regional issues, particularly in the integration of the East African community. So we are planning this event, which we've dubbed the first Kampala Defense Expo, that will Defense and Security Expo, that will run under the theme celebrating the life of Honorable General Aronda Nyakairima, whom we have described as a paragon of revolutionary sacrifice, Pan-Africanism, patriotism, courage, and an accomplished freedom fighter. This will be the overriding theme, as you can see in the background. General Aronda has a family life. He was born in the district of Rukunjiri, the old Chigezi, and had the normal young life until he decided to put his life for the freedom of this country. He went through many of the necessary preparation, both as a freedom fighter in the bush, but most important, as a leader of our force soon after the liberation in 1986. He's particularly remarkably remembered for having made a big impact in terms of the modernization and professionalization of the force. You may wonder whether what we are doing is something abnormal. No. Memorials, a culture of remembering life and contributions of illustrious persons of a nation, is a major building block in instilling and inculcating norms and values of what the country would wish to be. Norms like and values like patriotism, the sense of sacrifice, courage, innovation. We think people, institutions, governments hold these memorials to empower the upcoming generations. Even yesterday, I was watching one of the big media spaces, I think CNN, United States. I was having a memorial event, and all their leaders were on that platform, trying to rally the country, trying to bring the old generation in a link with the new generation. Memorials could be in the form of tributes accorded through talks, lectures, and workshops. They can be in the form of objects. You can say, we put this big building in the memory of somebody. And sometimes they can be in the form of monuments. In light of the context of these memorials, the strategic leadership chose to commemorate the late General Aronda, marking 9 years since his tragic demise. We are, particularly as UPDF, joining other institutions. You've been having the Bank of Uganda, they memorize the Mubiru, Parliament, and others. But particularly for us is to pass on the values of this illustrious son to the new generation of our young people, the new and the future of UPDF. I want to draw your attention. Some of these which should be captured as we prepare this event that is starting on the 10th and going on up to 12th. It's a 3-day memorial event. What are we really capturing? What is this General Aronda we are celebrating? We look at his unique leadership qualities. General Aronda was an exemplary leader. He communicated in detail, articulated tasks, and ensured he didn't leave them hanging. His philosophy was work, work, work. You could never find that this is a bedtime for General Aronda. Whether at 2 a.m. he would be working for this country. He had a talent and a trait of delegating and trusting those he worked with. He was an epitome. He was very, very ethical. This is a matter that occupies space in the media. Ethics and integrity. He was an epitome of ethics and integrity and an ardent fighter of corruption. He was really against indiscipline in the army. He spearheaded the professionalization. He was passionate about training standards. He spearheaded establishment of centers of excellence in terms of training our armed forces. Most of them, our modern schools, emerged during his time. Significantly, he was our first chief of defense forces, meaning earlier on we had army commanders, but that's when we were one service. But when the army or the force became two services, he was the one who pioneered. As our chief of defense forces, he guided the systematic reorganization of the UPDF, overseeing the defense review and reform exercise that transformed UPDF from a single service to a by-service, among other developments. The improvement of welfare, General Aronda will always be remembered because he is the hand behind what you hear today as the mighty Wazalendo Circle, one of our key pillars in the welfare of the UPDF. General Aronda was at the center of all of the main campaigns that broke the back of Joseph Kony, the Rhodes Resistance Army, through successful campaigns such as Iron Fist. We shall always salute his resoluteness. He followed Kony in Sudan, and that marked the beginning of peace in northern Uganda. Alongside, at the same time, initiating the disarmament and pacification of Karamoja. As you will be covering our events, you will see representation from those regions. Many of the leaders in Karamoja and Acholi will ever be grateful for the role and the personal touch General Aronda put in those campaigns. We remember General Aronda being at the helm of consolidating the new services, especially the Air Force. Again, as we are saying, he's a paragon of many things. General Aronda was an accomplished Pan-Africanist who leveraged and strengthened Uganda's defense diplomacy in the region and aggressively pursued the president's vision of speedy integration of East Africa. And many East Africans really miss his contribution. Honorable General Aronda was also very instrumental in the legislation process. He was one of the many long-serving members of Parliament representing UPDF. We are following in his footsteps, but he not only served as a member of Parliament, he served as a representative of UPDF in the Constituent Assembly. So also our legislative arm know and remember the passion with which he made contribution to ensure people legislated for the country in national interest. And he's on record for having advocated for the continued presence of UPDF, knowing the history of this country, continued presence of UPDF in the Parliament. His argument, which is valid, was that the army staying out of the political arena invited them to mess up the country even more. So keep them near the political process for purposes of harmony and stability. So he served diligently in that area, and the legislators remember him for that. Honorable General Aronda joined cabinet as the Minister of Internal Affairs. Members of the media fraternity, I want to emphasize, and Mama Sembo will put more emphasis. General Aronda got the bull by the horns when he became Minister of Internal Affairs by ensuring a project that had eluded many leaders and technocrats, the project of national registration, national identification. In a space of a very little time, not only did he make plans for this project to take off, you will be told in a space of 4 months, he registered 16 million.
Allow me on behalf of the Ministry of Defense and the Veteran Affairs to register our heartfelt condolences to the family of our foreign athlete, Cheptegei, who died in Kenya. It was a tragedy. Our condolences to the family, the sports fraternity, and the country at large. From the keynote presented, I would like now to invite the Executive Director, National Identification Registration Agency or Authority, Madam Rosemary Chisembo.
On the wrong footing, and my colleagues in the government, I will not make more mistakes than I have already made. Thank you very much also the media for obliging us and coming for this special event announcing the celebration of one who is great among us. Scripture says in Proverbs 10:9 that the memory of the righteous is a blessing, and that is the memory of our own General Aronda Nyakairima. Identification is a cornerstone for good governance and a foundation for democracy. In 2014, General Aronda took over the project of, actually 2013, the project of National Security Information System that was at the heart of the registration of Ugandans. At the time he did, Uganda had attempted to register in 2010. Had attempted that same exercise in 2010, and less than 100 people were registered. In 2013-14, with the resolve of the general, the project kicked off. Still, you know how we can be as Ugandans, with a lot of, no, who will get us an ID? It is not possible. But with the resolve of General Aronda, he kicked off the exercise with about 4,000 kits and at parish level. If I asked any of you here what last exercise apart from PDM has happened at parish level, it is probably only what the general started then. The next thing that has happened at parish level is the PDM. So in 2014, the exercise kicks off with so many naysayers. The exercise aimed at registering Ugandans above the age of 16 in preparation for the elections of 2016. They attempted to solve the challenge that had dogged several elections in Africa, which was identifying uniquely an individual. By the end of the exercise that had begun in a lot of confusion, a lot of doubt, a lot of skepticism, 16.2 million Ugandans had been registered and 15.8 million Ugandans had been issued with IDs. Therefore, NIRA as an entity was built on the successes of General Aronda's Resolute. We are therefore, as an entity, deeply indebted to General Aronda. He spearheaded the project. Those who worked with him always tell us, I was not privileged to be one of them, but one of the things that they tell us about is he saw no impossibility. He never saw impossibility in any task. If he had been born in another country, he probably would have reached Mars or somewhere else. But with the challenges within his own environment, today when you talk about a simple exercise, you are presented with 10 impossibilities and one possibility. He always saw the possibility and transformed the 10 impossibilities into the possibilities. That is one thing that he left in the memory of NIRA. NIRA as an entity has since grown to register 59.5% of the population of Uganda. Are we there yet? Did we pick up on his speed? No. Do we aspire to? As part of this celebration, we shall recollect and see what to do to pick up from one who gave us the best of his time and the best of his energy. Threshold of an upcoming mass enrollment and renewal exercise. It has been plagued, yes, by a couple of its possibilities. We have seen a lack of funds, a lack of timely beginning of the exercise, so many lacks. But there is no better time than this to celebrate General Aronda, because we are reminded once again that there is nothing impossible, not just with God, but God working through us as human beings. As a Ugandan, you may not be present at Munyonyo, but the one way you can celebrate General Aronda in your individual capacity is by registering and being identified as a Ugandan in the upcoming mass enrollment and renewal exercise. Winston Churchill told us in 1907 that Uganda is the Pearl of Africa. For people who serve this country with the excellence that we have seen in General Aronda, they continue to exhibit the shining pearl in the crown of Africa. I therefore take this opportunity to celebrate the memory of one who is a blessing to this country, and also invite you to continue the work he started of identifying and registering every Ugandan. Aluta continua for God and my country.
Madam Kisembo, by the way, the media is invited for the memorial lecture, and you are in the right place for accreditation. I'm sure that it's going on. It's now my pleasure to invite Commissioner Hon.Gen to come and give us the perspective from Minister of Internal Affairs. Karibu.
Colleague Fande Kulaije, General Masco, ED NIRA, colleagues in government, and members of the Fourth Estate. My name has already been mentioned, the Acting Commissioner, Immigration Control. It's more known as the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control. I'm representing my bosses, Major General Afande Goa, and the PS to this function. The Ministry of Internal Affairs counts itself blessed to have not only been one of the places where the late Major General served, but it was also the place where he served last and spent his last energy, but very importantly, left a mark on this country. When he came to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, he said that he was coming to continue with the defense of the country through the protection of borders. He told us that when the commander-in-chief deploys you, you hit the ground running. He came with a vision to make the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control the center of immigration services in the country. And indeed, he initiated a number of projects and other initiatives to make this a reality. As has been said by my colleague, he envisioned the registration of all inhabitants of this country to be a major defense for the country. At the time, the efforts of registering residents and issuing national cards was under a project that was called the National Security Information System. This project was very important because hitherto it, there was no rational basis for determining citizenship and identifying people. So the late Honorable Major General Aronda wanted to realize the dream of creating a database, which he did, and from which, going forward, Ugandans and residents in this country will all be identified. I will not go much into the project because the project gave rise to the birth of NIRA, which my colleague has talked about. Let me focus on the other initiatives in the ministry. The late General Aronda wanted to modernize the immigration control services. And he did this through a number of initiatives, like as I've said. He expanded the directorate. When he came in, we numbered about 300 people. But in one go, he recruited another 300 people, trained them, deployed them. He also took many of us who were already there for refresher training. The late General Aronda spearheaded the campaign of automation. Today, as you all know, as you all praise the improved immigration services, it is thanks to the late General Aronda. For passports, you see the system that we are using. For borders, he initiated what we call the e-immigration system, and also the border management system. This is why from every corner of the world, someone will apply to come to Uganda, and once in the country, or even still from abroad, you can apply to become a resident in Uganda, and you will be served and you will pay online. He fought corruption. When he came in and brought automation and other controls, the revenues collected by the Directorate of Immigration, Citizenship and Immigration Control, they increased more than 10 times. Today, the DCIC is the largest collector of non-tax revenue for government as a result of his efforts. The late General Aronda came up with a phrase. It's the first time we had it, a whole of government and a whole of society approach. When he came in, my senior talked about the challenges that were being experienced by the then National Security Information System project. The challenge had been the Ministry of Internal Affairs was trying to implement it as the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The new thing, the innovation General Aronda brought, he said, no, this should be a project for the whole country. He brought in all government agencies, defense, local government, and religious leaders, including people you would not have imagined the traditional religious leaders, and he made them all contribute to the ability to identify and register citizens. That's why he was successful, that in 4 months he could register so many people. Still in that registration exercise, one remarkable contribution of the late Aronda was what we call naturalization. The people who come in this country and do not get papers, but after a long time they want to be citizens, he initiated the part of the law that enabled them to be naturalized and registered as Ugandans. And I think ever since that time, we have not managed to naturalize as many people as he did. At first, there was fear that very many people was going to get onto the citizenship register illegally, but for him, he said, let them come on, we shall deal with them when we know them. He was not a perfectionist. He wanted results. So those people, we have them, and slowly we are cleaning the register of citizenship. He had a priority to protect Ugandan citizenship. He strengthened the Department of Citizenship Verification, and he initiated moves to enable citizenship verification in the diaspora. The diaspora, we mean all those Ugandans who are beyond Ugandan borders. And as we speak, several times missions are held by the board to go abroad and enable Ugandans who went there either as refugees or other categories to obtain registration services. Still under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, he initiated major reforms in the police, in the prisons, and in the Directorate of Government Analytical Laboratories. I'm not going to talk much about this because they are going to participate in the exhibitions, and they will be giving testimonies about the contributions of the late Aronda. At the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control, we remember the late General with a lot of respect, and like my senior colleague has said here, we want to evoke his spirit to ensure that his dreams live on. And we shall do everything possible to make sure that the projects, the ideas, and all the values he stood for, they live on. I thank you very much.
Exhibition, there will be a documentary running during the exhibition, and like I said, you'll be there for coverage, which will also be live. Last but not least, I invite my own, the PRO of National Enterprise Corporation, to give also the contribution NEC is making in this exhibition.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Major General Henry Masuko, Brigadier Felix Greje, the ED NIRA, Immigration. I take this opportunity once again to thank you for inviting us here. We cannot take it for granted, the Ministry of Defense. First and foremost, my name is James Katongana. I'm the Public Relations Officer for National Enterprise Corporation. National Enterprise Corporation is the commercial and Uganda people. We are one of those major companies that are exhibiting alongside other defense and security agencies. The national owes its viability the professionalization and strategic leadership of General Aronda's contribution. General Aronda's transformative efforts to modernize and professionalize the UPDF created a robust foundation for next success. His emphasis on discipline, integrity, and excellence within the UPDF translated to efficient business practices, effective resource management, and innovative entrepreneurship within NEC. Key areas where Gen Aronda's leadership impacted NEC's viability include strategic planning. Gen Aronda's vision and strategic thinking helped shape NEC's business model, enabling the corporation to diversify its portfolio and expand its operations. It also impacted NEC on human resource management. The General's focus on preparation the UPDF led the development of skilled personnel, many of whom have been instrumental in driving NEC's growth and success. He also impacted us on infrastructure development.
You can put it in silence. Put it in silence.
Gen Aronda's efforts to modernize the UPDF infrastructure have benefited NEC, providing the corporation with access to state-of-the-art facilities and logistic support. It also impacted us, on corporate governance. Emphasis on accountability, transparency, and good governance within the UPDF has been replicated within NEC, ensuring the corporation operates within integrity and efficiency. By leveraging the strengths of the UPDF, NEC has been able to diversify its revenue streams through innovative business ventures, create employment opportunities for veterans and civilians alike, and contribute significantly to Uganda's economic growth. Gen Aronda's legacy continues to shape NEC's success, demonstrating the power of strategic leadership and professionalism in driving business growth and sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, NEC has been mandated to coordinate other agencies which are going to participate in the Expo. We are having 26 agencies under Ministry of Defense and Internal Affairs that are going to showcase their products and services. And we could not have been successful without driving it from the contribution of Gen Aronda. These companies have been successful because of the strategic leadership he gave to UPDF. And these companies, some of the companies, the major companies include Immigration, include NIRA, include Wazalendo, include Ruero Industries, include NEC Farm Katonga, include Choga Dynamics, and many more others. And these companies will show their products and services. We therefore invite you to cover and see this expo. I thank you very much.